Today I worked at Wegmans from 1:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. during which I restocked merchandise within the produce section, getting what I felt could be restocked from the produce holding area that's very close to where the produce section of the supermarket is. I restocked the banana section a number of times today. At 2 points encountering at 2 different points encountering a bunch of bananas within one of the cardboard banana boxes, where one banana was completely rotten, as in the peel was all browned, and it was completely mushy, and it smelled funny. But it was kind of faint, and I would only notice it some of the time while I was pulling that banana after ripping it off of the rest of the bunch, which was completely fine. Both times it happened, it squigged me out. And the first time it happened, I think around 2:30 p.m., it left me feeling mildly anxious afterwards for about 30 to 45 minutes. But I still felt fine. Just in case it was dehydration or something, even though I had some water, some tap water prior to Mom coming to Dad's place. To take me to the Wegmans I work at. If I recall, she came over around 12:45 p.m. after getting me some sushi, 2 things of sushi, Atlantic combo if I recall, though I'm not 100% sure. And with it, I think a 20-ounce bottle of Brine Dairy branded whole milk. And I had that within the cafe area of the supermarket when I took my 15-minute break around 6:30 p.m. after me and a new female co-worker worked together to close the produce department early. I recall we closed it roughly from 5:45 p.m. To about 6:20 p.m. There are also a couple of 2 cases in which I got something from the cooler of the produce holding area for the produce. The first time, 2 times I did that, and it turned out there was ice in the box that held what I intended to restock from the cooler of the produce holding area. I went in the cooler to restock something more than twice, but 2 times there was ice in the box of what I intended to restock. First, a box of broccoli crowns with some ice. I think around 4 p.m. And then right before I took my 15-minute break, which ended up being more like 20-25 minutes, since "15 minutes isn't really enough time to eat those 2 things of sushi and drink the milk, since By the time I got to the cafe, even though it's a short walk from the produce department to there, and by the time I got there and got everything ready, I only had about 11 and a half minutes, somewhere between 13 to 11 and a half minutes to eat everything. I called my dad around 6:40 p.m. to ask if he was if he was shopping at the store, the supermarket I'm working at, yet, since at the time I was intending to get some lactose-free whole milk with hopefully still as much healthy fat as standard whole milk. Not because I'm allergic to lactose, it's just that it's a kind of sugar. It's the milk sugar, lactose. So I figure lactose-free milk would be sugar-free and thus more keto-friendly. I mentioned this in the morning, and Dad wanted me to get separate milk, separate from the standard whole milk he usually gets. But when I checked after I ended my shift, it seemed, according to the nutritional information box, lactose-free milk still has sugar in it. From what? I have no idea. But because of that, I ultimately didn't get the lactose-free milk. Dad got this and most of what I just had during today's Wegmans grocery shopping trip. Of which I joined in the middle of it after I ended my shift today. I recall having about the equivalent of 5 cups of plain coffee from 6:15 in the morning when I had my first cup with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich I made, to about, I would say about 7:15 p.m. after getting back from work and grocery shopping at Wegmans. Grocery shopping with my dad. Around 7 in the morning, I had a cranberry muffin that Dad got from Wegmans some days ago that he briefly microwaved and then gave to me at that time. And then around 12:30 p.m., I had another peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a cup of plain coffee. This being after getting a couple of hours of sleep during the primarily during the late morning period. By upgrading my accuracy stat, today I went from being able to beat this campaign mission sometimes to being able to win it most but not all of the time. These guard zombies are able to... They have high dodge, but if you're able to hit, it doesn't take that many to beat them. It's about a 3 at the most. As such, due to increasing accuracy, I now don't need as much luck to be able to beat the campaign mission I just depicted. I should be able to upgrade the workbench again soon. Right before I took my 15-minute break, a customer asked if we had any fresh chorizo, so I checked the cooler within the produce holding area for some. And the wax paper box it was in, it was the second box of merchandise I intended to restock within the cooler for the produce holding area that had ice in it. And that time, there was a solid layer, pretty much a solid layer, both on top of and below all of the connected bundles of wrapped chorizo. And despite that, though, the customer in question took one and still considered them fresh, even though that technically meant they were frozen. And I was able to restock all of those bundles of chorizo, though the cart I used throughout the day ended up getting pretty wet. And so did my old pair of gloves. That combined with the couple of rotten bananas I handled. Towards the end of my shift today, I decided to throw the old pair of gloves away. And right before I took my 15-minute break, got a new pair of gloves and brought the new pair home at Dad's place. The first time there was ice in a box within the cooler of the produce holding area of something I intended to restock, I was instructed to dump the ice in with the green sort of garbage bin that's used for the composting, usually for any perishable produce that gets pulled and then shrunk. So that's what I did both times. And I also had some water on my cart. At the same time, I had the coffee I brewed using a sort of Keurig Colombian blend, a pot of that, pretty much right before my shift started, and I ultimately finished the water before I finished the coffee considerably later. Here's where I am currently on the Mughal polystyrene drawing project. This depression complicates drawing the outline of the 0 of the 50 crate on the back of the Mughal polystyrene drawing project, but ultimately I was able to get through it when I worked on this project throughout the morning hours.